This new AI image creator from Meta can actually create real human hands and can put real text in your AI generated photos. This is true, and we're gonna get into this, but what's also true is that Meta is like an attention seeking sibling. Every time another company tries to impress someone with their toys, Meta barges in to say, hey, but did you see my toys though? And then the toys just end up being a different version of the other toy. Just ask Vine, Snapchat, TikTok, and now Twitter. But when it comes to AI, there's no denying that their interruptions are always pretty nifty. They've been doing things that are going to mean a lot for the AI world in the next few years. And their latest addition to the club is an image and text generator called CM3leon. And no, you didn't just have a stroke, that's how it's spelled. If you've ever prompted an AI to show a man opening a fridge, but it instead showed a fridge opening a man, then this new AI tool is for you. It's built to be the most coherent text-to-image tool on the market, but it's a foundational model that can do crazy things like generate rooms that put the sink and the bed in exact locations that you specify by coordinates. I mean, this image creator is truly unbelievable, and I'm very excited to show this to you. On this episode of AI Wizard, I'll list the 7 most interesting things about this new model, but before we get into that, the company also plans to release a commercial AI model to compete with OpenAI and Google's, and this model will be open source. No one's toys are safe around the Zuck. Let's get into it. The new commercial model from Meta will be a version of large language model Meta AI, aka Llama. They really forced that acronym, didn't they? This is their open source large language model that uses AI to generate text and code. Llama was originally only made available to the most elite nerds in academics and research, but it was then leaked on a message board shortly after release. But now everyone will be able to commercially use the model, allowing developers and businesses to build applications on top of it. But it's really the open source factor that will separate it from the competition. This means that everyone will be able to see how the model works by looking at its code. Because of this, the model will drastically improve and promote innovation as more people from all sectors get their hands on it and start tweaking it. This provides a competitive advantage over OpenAI and Google. Businesses will be attracted to the fact that they can customize their models to their liking. Meta might even create custom chatbots for each type of user, like an individual or a business. That's okay, Bard, you'll show them one day. Meta's chief AI scientist Yann LeCun said, the competitive landscape of AI is going to completely change in the coming months, in the coming weeks maybe, when there will be open source platforms that are actually as good as the ones that are not. I don't know, Sam, that sounds like a threat. An open source model has its ups and downs. On the bright side, everyone having access to the model will inherently make it learn faster, and bugs and security issues will be spotted quicker. But on the other hand, crazy people exist in every pocket of the world, and you'd better believe some of these crazy people have elite coding skills. A psychopathic developer, plus a technology with no real guardrails yet, could equal disaster. But anyway, the model will be free at launch, but Meta might decide to charge enterprise customers if they want to add their own flavor. In the meantime, Meta has given us yet another AI tool that's different from anything else on the market, CM3leon. And now we're going to look at the 7 most interesting things about it. Each fact will explain more and more about the model, and by the end, you may have a new favorite image creator. First, CM3leon makes your prompts easier to execute correctly. Text-guided image editing, like change the color of his shoes to brown, is difficult because it requires the model to understand both text and visual content, resulting in disappointing results sometimes. But this isn't a problem for Meta's model. And don't take my word for it, look at these text-to-image examples. The first thing that should stand out to you is this hand. It's an AI-generated hand that doesn't fuel nightmares, and it was done on the first try. I asked DALL-E to generate this image, and this was the result. I then asked Leonardo AI the same thing, and this is what I got. The prompt for this reads, close-up model of a human hand model, high quality. The third prompt reads, a raccoon main character in an anime preparing for an epic battle with a samurai sword, battle stance, fantasy, illustration. And this one reads, a stop sign in a fantasy style with the text 1991. If you've played around with image generators, this should knock your socks off too. It actually got legible text right in the photo. This is insane. The model also excels at text-guided image editing. Given an input, the input was changed accurately using only text, like, what would she look like as a bearded man? Put on a pair of sunglasses. She should look 100 years old. Apply face paint. Next is its ability to use text in a way that no other image creator can. Chameleon can generate short or long captions and even answer questions about an image. For example, look at the dog carrying a stick. The prompt question reads, "What is the dog carrying?" The model says, "Stick." The next prompt reads, "Describe the given image in very fine detail." The prompt then answers, "In this image, there is a dog holding a stick in its mouth. There is grass on the surface. In the background of the image, there are trees." The next point, and this is where it gets really creative, is that the model can do structure-guided image editing. It can not only interpret text instructions, but it can interpret structural or layout input. For example, in this object-to-image example, Chameleon is prompted to generate a high-quality image of a room that has a sink and a mirror in it at these coordinates, and with a sink at these coordinates, and with a bed at these coordinates. This capability comes from Meta's earlier groundbreaking work in image segmentation, and it's a great example of how all of Meta's AI efforts over the past couple of years will come together to make the most impossible creations. Imagine what this AI does for real estate, contracting, architecture, or interior design. The model also does segmentation image editing. Given an input, the model can extract the segmentation and generate its own output, as seen here. Before we continue with the rest of the list, if you're enjoying this content and want to stay updated on all the latest AI news, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. It'll really help the channel out. Now back to the video. Next, you may think that the resolution on those above photos are nothing to gawk at. Well, that's before Meta's super resolution stage for image generation has been applied. Check out how amazing these images turned out. A steaming cup of coffee with mountains in the background, resting during a road trip. Beautiful, majestic road during sunset, aesthetic. Small circular island in the middle of a lake. Forest surrounding the lake, high contrast. A turtle swimming underwater, aesthetic, fantasy. Elephant swimming underwater, aesthetic, fantasy. Flock of sheep, aesthetic, fantasy. Absolutely breathtaking. Round of applause, Meta. The next interesting thing about Chameleon is how it operates. It works like a text model to create images. Chameleon is the first multimodal model to be trained on a combination of text-based language models and this very unique little training method. Training Chameleon was a two-step process. First, they trained it on a large amount of text and images to make it an expert at retrieving information. Then they fine-tuned it using specific tasks to make it even more of an expert. Here's an example of the fine-tuning stage where on the left are a set of common model inputs for various tasks, and model outputs on the right. What's unique about this model is that it uses tokenized transformers to generate state-of-the-art images, as opposed to other text-to-image models that use a diffusion method. The diffusion method creates images by starting with a single point, followed by a series of transformations. You can get really detailed output with this method, but the compute power needed can be egregious. This is because every image that needs to be referenced is inside the model parameters. Chameleon is using an autoregressive method which allows it to retrieve images and text externally. And doing it this way uses 5 times less compute. Just think of all the social media companies Meta can copy with all the extra energy. Chameleon's special design results in low training costs and very fast inference times because it combines the best of text-based and image-based models. The next unique thing about Chameleon is that it's instruction-tuned, also like a text-based generative model. See, researchers instruction-tune text models on a wide variety of tasks to make them really good at following instructions, but Meta's new model has large-scale multitask instruction tuning for both image and text generation, and it produces some interesting results. For one, performances on tasks like image caption generation, visual question answering, text-based editing, and conditional image generation are greatly improved. It seems that whatever rules apply for a text-only model applies to tokenized image creators as well. The last interesting point is that when evaluated on the most widely used image generation benchmark, it set a new standard and beat the top-performing text-to-image creator from Google called Party. This suggests that training a text-to-image generator to create images by retrieving examples from its dataset is the best way to do it. Look at this picture it generated of a cactus with sunglasses and a hat on. This is a complex task for an image generator, and this came out with no awkwardness at all whatsoever. Unfortunately, there is no mention of a release date of the model or the code, which is kind of a cruel tease if you ask me. Regardless, this image creator changes the game and further stamps Meta as probably the most innovative AI team out there. They consistently drop banger after banger, and each one is more impressive than the last. If only they could apply that creativity to the social media side of things. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Click that video on the screen to watch something you haven't seen. And thanks for visiting AI Wizard.